Letterman's fully paralyzed again. Very lucky for me. Wild Bolt Storm gets both KOs. But yeah, without those full paras, I probably just lose. But now I probably just win. Just Eerie Impulse, Miraidon, and Sancier Storm. VGC Legends. It is, as always, this series where I spin a wheel, get a random legendary Pokemon, speed, build a team with that Pokemon, try the team out on the VGC Regulation I ladder. The two reasons for which I do this are, one, that I just really like legendary Pokemon, and two, that it's a fun little adventure trying all these different teams, and maybe I learned some things along the way. I do feel like I got a little bit more insight last time on how to play a Miraidon team in this format, so I have been treating it as very hypothetical through 40 episodes so far, whether I actually learn anything, but I think I probably have at some points. There's definitely room for more reflection and whatnot. This series is, of course, going up every day that I don't have something else planned because Regulation I is potentially not with us for very long, and I waited quite a while to have a double restricted format to do this in the first place. There are 22 legendaries left, down from a peak of 62. Some generations are near their end. Some generations still have a ways to go. Let's spin the wheel and see what we get. Thundurus? Thundurus. Now that is an interesting legendary Pokemon that can play a lot of different ways, and I don't know off the top of my head what I'm going to do with it. Alright, first question is which form to use. I do see both of them on the ladder occasionally, but neither one is a metagame staple. Therian form is more offensive. It's a little bit slower, but I mean, both these speed tiers are reasonable, not amazing in this format. But base 145 special attack is pretty good. You can throw off Wild Bolt Storm. Probably want to use it on a rain team. I think it gets agility too. It does. So you could even set up with that. That's an option. I definitely find it appealing. This Thundurus, incarnate form, a little bit less special attack, a little bit more speed. Could kind of play similarly to Tornadus, except it doesn't get Tailwind, which is a big, deficiency compared to Tornadus. But it gets other speed control options in Thunder Wave with Prankster. It also gets Prankster boosted. Scary Face. It gets Electro Web. So there are a lot of speed control options there, but none of them individually are as good as Tailwind. But then Thundurus also gets Eerie Impulse. It gets some other support moves, I think. It gets Nasty Plot, so that's another setup option. It still gets that big Wild Bolt Storm. Yeah, Thundurus is a very flexible Pokemon with a lot of different ways it can play. I'm honestly surprised that it has never really taken off in Scarlet and Violet. But I guess this meta is just not quite friendly enough to it. But Thundurus is so flexible. So many support options, so many offensive options. It's hard to imagine a format where it isn't at least playable. Even if it's not one of the best right now. I haven't even talked about the way that I love to use Thundurus in Sword and Shield. I was a big Thundurus player in Sword and Shield. I know some people hated it then and would consider this toxic, but Thundurus' hidden ability is Defiant. And in Sword and Shield, you can Dynamax it. So you get boosted by an opponent's Incineroar coming in and clicking Intimidate. And then you run Fly. And in Sword and Shield, when you Dynamax, that becomes Max Airstream. You get the attack boost from their Incineroar, assuming they have one. A lot of teams did. And you get the speed boost from your own Max Airstream, which only takes one turn to execute, even though the underlying move is Fly. You could also run, and they did run, Superpower, I think. I guess it doesn't get that anymore, but I think it did then. It definitely got a fighting type attack that people would run for Max Knuckle. I think it was Superpower. I guess Game Freak has just taken that away now. And then you have your Electric Stab, but mainly you're clicking Max Airstream. Max Airstream was just the best move in the game in Sword and Shield. And you pair it with Zacian, so if they try to intimidate your Zacian, they boost your Thundurus. Something like that could be fun, maybe, to try here with Terra Flying, Terra Blast. But it's definitely not nearly as good. There's a reason people aren't using it, because you can't Dynamax Thundurus now. It doesn't get speed control from its flying move, it also just doesn't get that doubled HP. And it has to Terrastalize to have a usable Flying Stab now, which is a bit of an issue. But honestly, it is an option worth considering here. So if you want a physical attacker, you want a special attacker, or you want a support Pokemon featured here, some of you are going to be disappointed because Thundurus can do all of those, but I will be picking just one. I'm leaning offensive Therian Thundurus on Rain. Not necessarily with agility. I could run Choice Scarf if I prefer. But I think agility could be fun. I just, very recently as I'm recording this, like just a couple days ago, I streamed myself playing VGC 2018. And it was a team... There's a team by Barry Anderson. I think that's the Baz Anderson that I've heard about for a long time. That ran Mega Tyranitar with Therian Thundurus with Adrenaline Orb. So when Incineroar came in, or Landorus came in to intimidate the Tyranitar, they would give a speed boost with the Adrenaline Orb to Thundurus. And these two Pokemon actually have great synergy together. And then there was also a Choice Scarf Smeargle on the team, which just felt illegal. Choice Scarf, Spore. But all that's just a tangent. All I'm really saying is I have speed boosting Therian Thundurus on the brain right now, so that might be the pick. I'm going to check the usual resources, because honestly, Thundurus is a little bit overwhelming to think about for a series like this, because it could just play in so many different ways. I think support Thundurus, enabling something like Shadow Rider, Calyrex, or Kyogre. Actually, support Thundurus with Kyogre could be very strong, right? Because you could get some extra speed control out of that, and you could still run Wild Bolt Storm on it. But then you're also creating openings for your Kyogre to blast through things with Water Spout. That might be the actual best answer. I'm a little bit more intrigued by this right now. Let's see what the stats have to show us. Let's look at the Bologna special event. I don't know if any Thundurus will show up in top 256, but we'll take a look. I know you can't see the drop-down menu. I did figure that out at some point, but you can probably infer that I'm scrolling it. I don't think there are any Thundurus here. I'll check the other events. Santiago. 2 Thundurus, both incarnate form. I don't think there are any Therian ones. Yeah, 2 of them in top 64. Terra Electric, Terra Water, both running safety goggles, both running the same moves. Oh, it's the same team, it's just the Terra type is different. Lunala, Zamazenta, Qianpao, Rillaboom, Rapid Striker, Shifu. Thundurus ran Eerie Impulse, Rain Dance, Thunderwave, Thunderbolt. So it's the support Prankster Thundurus. Eerie Impulse does make a lot of sense with Zamazenta, actually, yeah. Zamazenta already gets the defense boost from Dauntless Shield. Lower the opponent's special attack stat. Zamazenta is pretty hard to remove, especially with Rillaboom giving it passive recovery. And then you can set up Rain for Rapid Strike or Shifu, and you get speed control. That's a cool tech. They made top 16. I don't think that's the direction I want to go in here, but it makes a lot of sense to me. Maybe I could do something like Kyogre Zamazenta. I don't know if that's a good restricted duo. Because I am still interested in Thundurus with Kyogre. But, I don't know. This is all, of course, pointing in the direction of incarnate form Thundurus. Let's look at Utrecht. One Thundurus incarnate. This one has Taunt instead of Rain Dance, and it's on a Miraidon team. Okay, Miraidon Zacian. Interesting. I don't think I'm going to get anything from there that I want to use, though. In this video, I mean. I'm not saying it's a bad team, it's just not what I'm interested in at the moment. One Thundurus incarnate in Melbourne. Eerie Impulse, Scary Face, Sunny Day, Thunderbolt. So they went Scary Face as the speed control option. The advantage of Scary Face over Thunder Wave is 1, it doesn't miss, and 2, it works on electric and ground types. Not dark still because of the Prankster immunity, but it works on those 2 types that can't be, well, electric can't be paralyzed, ground is immune to electric. Scary Face isn't worried about either of those. The downside of Scary Face is they can get rid of the drop by switching out. And this one was used on a Sun team to help the Sun stay up for Fluttermane, mainly, I think. I don't know, feels a little bit odd to me. It did alright, though. I think I want Rain. I think I want Kyogre and Thundurus. And I think I just have to choose either Prankster support or just try to blast things with Wild Bolt Storm. Let's actually look at munch stats as well. Both forms show up. We see mostly Prankster support stuff on the Incarnate form. Zamazenta is the most common restricted partner, Lunala right behind it. Kyogre a little bit further down, not very far. And on the Therian form, Citrus Berry is the most common item. I didn't see that coming, but they are running offense. They're not running agility. Agility doesn't show up here at all. Just a few different electric attacks, Weather Ball, and then Taunt and Snarl, Sludge Bomb. Kyogre, the most common restricted partner. I'm going to pause the recording for a second because the old seasonal allergies are really about to affect the quality of this video, but I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Hopefully won't be fighting a sneeze anymore. Thinking it over some more, I think that the correct choice here is Incarnate Thundurus. I think the unique sort of speed control plus Eerie Impulse with Prankster tech is what makes this Pokemon stand out. So and with Incarnate form, right? Still have a pretty usable special attack stat. I can still click Wild Bolt Storm. Probably don't have room for Weather Ball or Flying Terra Blast. Flying Terra Blast is iffy anyway because you have to Terrestrialize to use it. But yeah, probably something like... I even still have room for Rain Dance, right? You can use it kind of like a Tornadus in that sense. Thunder Wave, Eerie Impulse, Rain Dance, Wild Bolt Storm. Probably Terra Dark. This another time maybe, but not in this series. This honestly was one of the tougher form choices in this series. Therian Thundurus is very interesting, but I think Incarnate Thundurus again is what makes this Pokemon stand out. And then I'm thinking Kyogre, Zamazenta, Rillaboom. Is this coherent? I don't know, maybe. With Rain Dance, I can turn off Zamazenta's fire weakness. With Eerie Impulse, I can, yeah, boost Zamazenta's survivability, like I said. I don't know that this works out to something that's good into the meta. I do like having Rillaboom to help deal with opposing Miraidon when I have Kyogre on the team, but I'm going to see if I can do Thundurus supporting Kyogre and Rain, using Thunder Wave to create openings for Water Spout and Origin Pulse, using Wild Bolt Storm with the boosted accuracy, and also Thundurus helping Zamazenta stick around. I'm going to see if I can fit both of those onto the same team. For the last two slots, I'm very tempted to just slap on a Landorus, as I always am when I build Rain right now. Landorus is really good. It's especially good in Rain, and... was it just last video? Yeah, that is the Okidogi one, right? Where I built my team with no ground resist, and I was kind of worried about that, but then I kept running into a bunch of opponents that also didn't have any ground resist, and ripping their teams apart with Ursaluna. I think that's reason enough to just slap a Landorus on here. Offensive ground types seem pretty well positioned in this meta. Now, I don't have Tailwind. I should probably not be all in on Thundurus for speed control, right? Thunder Wave is good, but it's only so much by itself. Wild Bolt Storm Parachance is good, but only so much by itself. So, I could just do Tornadus and run all three, but that's silly, I think. I could do something that brings something else to the table, is fairly strong, and gets Tailwind. Maybe Iron Jugulus. Right, Iron Jugulus gives me a Dark type that I can throw at Shadow Rider Calyrex. I do have this already, but Eerie Impulse can be shut down by Psychic Terrain, which is run on some Shadow Rider teams. I do have Rillaboom to change the terrain, but I think more insurance doesn't hurt. How do I beat Ice Rider Calyrex? Ice Rider Calyrex is actually a massive threat to what I've built here. Zamazenta is pretty much the key. If Zamazenta goes down, I'm in trouble. Ice Rider Calyrex is often paired with Miraidon. What do I have for Miraidon? I have Rillaboom and Landorus. That's pretty good, as Miraidon answers go. And I have Eerie Impulse again. Miraidon is not usually run with Psychic Terrain. It can be run with Farigiraf, but... I mean, Farigiraf is just not that strong, so there are other concessions made by that. Iron Jugulus could even maybe help me deal with Farigiraf, if I keep Iron Jugulus, but I'm not certain I will. What else gets Tailwind? I also could run Trick Room instead. But I think Tailwind is more reasonable for this kind of team. Not restricted Pokemon. I have those accounted for already. Could run Comfey. It's not the greatest in this format. It's one of those Pokemon that are never actually as good as they feel like they should be. But it gets Tailwind. And it could use boosted Floral Healing, boosted by the grassy terrain, to heal Zamazenta, and even heal Kyogre. Make the Water Spout stronger. Actually, it's not the greatest, but I actually think that's kind of a fun idea. Is there a use for Corviknight here? Probably not. I also have to worry about Koraidon a little bit, so actually Comfey pressuring Koraidon to Terra could also be valuable. Iron Jugulus can probably also pressure Koraidon to Terra. It does have that Hurricane available in the rain. Or, you know, 70% chance or whatever it is of hitting in the sun. I think Comfey is actually worth considering here, to the extent that it ever is in this format. Galarian Moltres. Galarian Moltres is also worth considering, I think. It would help me deal with Ice Rider, sort of. Probably have to Terrasilize it, but that's not the end of the world. Scizor technically fits the criteria I've laid out here, but I don't think it's actually all that good. Could run Suicune with, like, Snarl and I don't know what else. Maybe not. I actually think Comfey, Moltres, I think Iron Jugulus is pretty reasonable here. But I'm actually kind of interested in Comfey. That would mean what? If I wanted to go all in on the Zamazenta, I don't think that's a mode that necessarily exists on this team, but hypothetically, if I did want to, I'd be bringing, what, Zamazenta, Thundurus, Rillaboom, Comfey, leaving Kyogre behind? It's kind of weird. But yeah, the Floral Healing into Kyogre and Zamazenta, very valuable for both of them. Priority Draining Kiss at least makes Koraidon squirm a bit. Iron Jugulus is the better Pokemon, but Comfey doesn't help me deal with Ice Rider at all, does it? I do have Zamazenta, I do have Kyogre. Both of my restricteds match up reasonably well into Ice Rider. My gut's saying Comfey. I'm not confident in it. I'm not super confident in it, but on paper it makes a lot of sense. So something like Draining Kiss, Floral Healing, Tailwind, and probably Protect. I could consider Giga Drain. I already have the Covert Cloak on Thundurus though, so I probably want Protect on Comfey. Landorus would be Life Orb, Sheer Force. You know, the usual moves. Earth Power, Sludge Bomb, Sandsear Storm, Protect. Does Comfey get Rain Dance? Doesn't look like it. That's fine, I'd rather have Protect, I think. I already have Rain Dance on Thundurus, Drizzle, and Kyogre. Zamazenta will do Body Press. I could do Iron Defense Zamazenta, actually, with Thundurus. That could be fun. I think it's worth a shot. Iron Defense, Body Press, Heavy Slam, Protect, no Wide Guard. Might miss Wide Guard. I could do Wide Guard instead of Protect. I think I'm okay with that. Rillaboom will be some basic Assault Vest stuff, and Kyogre. Kyogre's an interesting question, actually. Usually I just slap on choice specs when I'm speed building. But it might actually be better off with like a Mystic Water set on this team, right? I can decide whether to click Water Spout or not based on things like my speed control and the availability of Floral Healing. Probably put a Focus Sash on this. right? I think Kyogre being able to switch moves could be useful here. So something like Water Spout, Origin Pulse. Do I need Thunder? Do I need Ice Beam? I think Ice Beam, because I don't have Ice coverage on the team otherwise, and Protect. I could switch to Specs. I also could try to fit Hydro Pump on here somewhere. Actually, I think Kyogre does need single target damage, because right now if I have it on the field next to Thundurus, I have nothing but spread moves except Ice Beam. Maybe I even drop Ice Beam and I just do 3 water attacks. Or I could go back to Specs. Let's just do Specs. That way I can keep Ice Beam. I'll do Terra Ghost. I usually have been running Terra Grass in the past, but I'm kind of interested in being able to make Kyogre immune to Fake Out. Don't necessarily know what's more valuable there. But we're experimenting here, right? Let's experiment. Zamazenta, probably Terra Water, defensive Terra type that doesn't compromise the Ice Rider matchup. Rillaboom, Grass, or Fire probably, Landorus probably Poison, Comfey. Comfey's weak to Poison and Steel, not super relevant, that's why Fairy typing is so very good. I could even keep Fairy to boost the Draining Kiss damage, but I think I'd rather have something like Dark. Probably rather have Dark. Again, to deal with the taunt stuff. Probably something like this. I'll fill out the rest of it and we'll see what we get. There it is. Feels like I've talked through pretty much everything already. So, let's go. Zamazenta, Miraidon, Whimsicott. Fluttermane. That's what that's called, Fluttermane, Ursaluna, and they also have a Comfey. What are the chances? Okay, so there's Miraidon. Probably want Rillaboom. I didn't think about how to beat Zamazenta, did I? Kyogre goes kind of crazy here, except Miraidon is an issue and I can't Thunder Wave it. That would have been a good reason to bring Scary Face, but also they probably have the... Well, they definitely have a better Tailwind setter in Whimsicott. They probably have Tailwind on it, is what I mean. I could just try to set up Zamazenta. Right? I can click Eerie Impulse into these two. I can set up Iron Defense. Encore is an issue, but I'm down to try. Bring Rillaboom. I kind of want Landorus for their restricteds, but that would mean not bringing Kyogre. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try Landorus. For now. Alright, so Miraidon, Whimsicott. They can set Tailwind, but I get the Eerie Impulse before Miraidon moves still because of Prankster. Or I can go Rillaboom, or I can go Landorus even. I'm just gonna Eerie Impulse Miraidon and Heavy Slam Whimsicott. I'm hesitant to click Iron Defense when Whimsicott is right here on the field. Electro Drift into Zamazenta, crits, does a lot of damage. Not an ideal start here. There's Fluttermane. I don't have Protect on Zamazenta, right? I have Wide Guard? Maybe I did need to drop Wide Guard and keep Protect. If I was running Iron Defense, I haven't run Iron Defense Zamazenta in quite a while. I guess because I have Iron Defense... Well, I'm never getting Zamazenta set up this game, right? Okay, I can sack Zamazenta here. I'll Thunder Wave the Fluttermane. I'll click Heavy Slam into Fluttermane, but they'll probably knock Zamazenta out first. They Volt Switch. This gets me Landorus, I guess. I guess it gets me Landorus. They have Power Gem on Fluttermane. Almost, but not quite KO's Thundurus. I am going to Rain Dance and Sandsear Storm and hope they don't click Wide Guard, but they might. Or Water. Body Press Landorus. Fluttermane's fully paralyzed. We take those. Them having Tailwind and me not having Tailwind is not ideal here. I can Wild Bolt Storm. and protect Thundurus this turn. They'll probably try to get rid of Thundurus. It's the bigger offensive threat. Fluttermane's fully paralyzed again. Very lucky for me. Wild Bolt Storm gets both KOs. But yeah, without those full paras, I probably just lose. But now I probably just win. Just Eerie Impulse, Miraidon, and Sancier Storm. Single target, won't miss in rain. They have Snarl, but Miraidon doesn't want to take another one of those. And obviously I hacked this person. They probably should have won. The Fluttermane being fully paralyzed twice in a row really bailed me out there, but it's Pokemon, it happens. We got to see Thundurus go kind of crazy. This team is definitely not quite right. At least it doesn't seem that way so far. But there's some fun stuff here. Hopefully we can make some more use of it. Thundurus is also nice for our Childon. I guess the tricky thing with Thundurus in this format, this comes up a lot when I build these teams, is it's very strong into a lot of teams, but you really have to figure out what modes you're bringing it in, because otherwise it kind of just displaces one of the restricteds or something, at least in my experience. Right, being a strong attacker that's not a support Pokemon, I think you have to be kind of... I think if you're building for tournament play, you have to be more intentional about slapping Thundurus onto a team than I can really do in this series. It is very strong. I think I'm interested in bringing Comfey to this one. I think I'm interested in Thundurus, Kyogre, Comfey, Zamazenta. That's probably the 4. Thundurus would be nice into our Childon, but again, something has to give to make room for it. I just don't know what the order is. I could do Thundurus, Comfey lead, maybe. Kyogre in the back. Or I could just do Thundurus, Kyogre lead. I'll try this with the restricteds in the back. There's Koraidon. Could be Taunt Tornadus. In this position, I think it's fairly likely. I can Rain Dance and Raining Kiss Koraidon. They protect, they don't Terra, but they know I have that priority fairy type damage now. Comfey is taunted, it is Taunt Torn. It's also faster than my Thundurus, which makes sense. I'm not running a fast Thundurus. But now that the rain is up, I can click Wild Bolt Storm and Draining Kiss. And they at least can't prevent me from moving this turn with a taunt. Koraidon does Terrastalize. They set the sun back up. It's Sunny Day Torn. Probably should have seen that one coming. We land both Wild Bolts anyway. Now I have Triage, Priority, Draining Kiss into whatever I want. Or I can preserve Comfey. But I think I'm alright with this. Knockout Tornadus. They never set Tailwind. Thundurus gets wiped out by Flare Blitz, but trading that for Koraidon I think is okay. Now I get Kyogre. Oh, they get our Childon. Okay, so they can take advantage of the rain potentially. Comfey is still taunted. I never clicked Tailwind with Comfey either, so Calyrex will be the fastest thing. I also can't Tailwind now, obviously. I can Draining Kiss to break a possible Focus Sash on the Calyrex and just Origin Pulse. I actually think I would like to have Terra Grass Kyogre here, because I think there's an Electro Shot coming out, but Astral Barrage first. Knocks out Comfey. Crit didn't matter, obviously. Kyogre moves next. We take out the Calyrex, so it's just our Childon left. It gets a Stamina boost, which isn't great when I have Zamazenta in the back. It clicks Electro Shot, which isn't great when I have Zamazenta in the back. But I get Zamazenta here. I guess I just have to attack. I don't have to protect to kill a turn of rain. My Terra type is actively detrimental here, so not terrestrializing this game. They just body press back. But, okay. So, I mean, Zamazenta is just too powerful for this Childon to handle. That's why our Childon has trouble keeping up in the format. So Zamazenta still wins that. The team is fun, but it still feels awkward. But Thundurus put in a lot of work there. Landing Wild Bolt Storm into both targets in Sun was good stuff. Miraidon, Whimsicott, Incineroar, Iron Hands, Farigiraf, and Shadow Rider Calyrex. So basically the two strongest, maybe Kyogre's in that conversation, basically the two strongest special attacking restricteds. And Farigiraf could stop Thundurus's disruptive prankster boosted stuff, right? I can't Thunder Wave or Eerie Impulse anything while Farigiraf is on the field. So Farigiraf and these two restricted is actually a massive threat to my team. They also have a Prankster Tailwind Setter, while my Tailwind Setter doesn't have Prankster. So this is a tough matchup, which is bad because this is a good team. The flaws in what I've built here are definitely being exposed. I'm going to lead Zamazenta. I'm going to do Zamazenta, Comfey, Rillaboom, Thundurus. I talked about that for. It doesn't have a lot of damage beyond Zamazenta itself. It's probably not good, but we'll give it a go here. Okay, Zamazenta needs Protect. I just don't have room for Wide Guard on this team, is what it is. Going. Zamazenta just needs Protect. Comfey survives the turn. I was thinking about a Draining Kiss and a Miraidon, but I got flinched anyway. Okay, so I probably just don't get Tailwind this game, yeah? Well, let's see if they let me have their Calyrex here. Would be nice. Astral Barrage will not KO Comfey because of the Protect. It goes into the Assault Vest on Rillaboom. It's Life Orb Calyrex, not Focus Sash, so it does just get knocked out by the Wood Hammer. I trade Rillaboom for Calyrex. That's obviously... I think they're okay with that because it makes their Miraidon harder for me to deal with. I'm going to go Thundurus here so I can Eerie Impulse Miraidon immediately, but at least I get rid of one of their scary Nightmare restricted Pokemon. That's something, right? Yeah, just Eerie Impulse here, and I guess I'll just click Draining Kiss into Miraidon, try to get some damage on that. Maybe keep Comfey around a little longer, although I don't think Comfey is really holding up to these powerful attacks coming out from these two Pokemon. We'll see. They might target Thundurus, who knows. I also haven't seen what their last Pokemon is. Maybe it's Farigiraf and this Eerie Impulse does nothing. We'll see. I'm just feeling a little bit better about clicking it now that I know that 3 of their Pokemon at least are not Farigiraf. They Terra Electric here. And they Electro Drift Thundurus, and it clean KOs at -2. And that's the, I guess that's kind of Thundurus' issue in a nutshell in this format, trying to keep up with all these powerhouses. I'll try to set up Zamazenta, but I think it's too little too late, especially since Miraidon can still switch out and get rid of the drop. Or can Volt Switch me and accomplish the same thing, but with some damage on top. If it's not choice locked, which actually it probably is, so it can switch out and get rid of the drop. Thinking though. Incineroar last. Well, I can't cover for Fake Out because I don't have Protect, so... Pop. GG. The team's deficiencies have caught up with it in this game. That's okay. It is fun. It's a fun concept. It's obviously not refined. Shadow Rider, Rillaboom, Farigiraf, Zamazenta, Incineroar, and Sableye. They have their own Prankster support. Hard to deal with thing. They have another Farigiraf here, so Farigiraf is definitely a Pokemon that makes Thundurus kind of sad when I'm running this Thundurus set. Sableye and Shadow Rider both make it hard for Kyogre to just go. I could Thunder Wave Calyrex, except Farigiraf can stop that, and also Sableye maybe can stop it? Maybe not. What are they going to quash? Thundurus is probably faster than their Sableye. So that's fine, but the Farigiraf is an issue. So I would like to just lead... If I had Tornadus on my team, I could probably just lead Tornadus Kyogre into this, but with Thundurus, I don't think it works. I could do Comfey Kyogre. I could do Comfey Kyogre, and then like Draining Kiss into one of these. Unless Farigiraf stops it. Origin Pulse, or Tailwind Origin Pulse. So I have Tailwind up for the next turn. Let's try that. Landorus is pretty good here. I'll bring Zamazenta. I'll bring Thundurus instead of Landorus. This is again the problem with Landorus on these slapped together teams. It's a really good Pokemon, but I feel like you have to be intentional about when you're bringing it in a way that just doesn't fit here. Okay. Hydro Pump. And I'll go for Tailwind. They might fake out. They might fake out Kyogre. That would be bad. I could Terra Ghost to cover for that. I don't think I'm especially likely to use my Terra for anything else in this game. Hard to say when I have two Dark Terras and they have Shadow Rider Calyrex. Sableye has so many moves it can run, it might not even have Fake Out. Maybe I get close team sheeted here, but I'm not going to Terra Ghost. I'm just going to Hydro Pump Zamazenta and go for Tailwind. They also could Fake Out Comfey if they think that it doesn't have the Covert Cloak, but they might think that it does. I don't know. Sableye has so many interesting support techs. They're not necessarily running Fake Out. They just protect both Pokemon this turn. Now, the problem, of course, is Sableye gets Quash, like I said, so it could delay Kyogre's move here until after Zamazenta moves. I'm gonna go Draining Kiss into Sableye. Oh, it also gets Encore. They could be going for that. But Triage Draining Kiss will have higher priority, so Comfey will still get that move off. I'm clicking the same move anyway with Kyogre. So the Encore... An Encore is not especially strong for them here. It could have consequences down the line, but this turn I don't really think it accomplishes much for them. Draining Kiss will come out before a possible Encore, so then Comfey gets locked into that. It's not the worst thing in front of Sableye. Although I would probably like to have Floral Healing available. They just went for a double protect with both Pokemon. After maximum time. Are they just not really playing? Why do I see so much of that on the ladder these days? Is there a contingent of ladder players who see YouTube in my Showdown name and decide to troll, or what is this? I have no idea. But I swear I'm seeing it more often lately. That is what it is. I mean, you're not really affecting me that much. But do you, I guess. I suppose this is a way of stalling out my Tailwind. And honestly the rain too, although I have ways to set that back up, but yeah, it's very silly. Whatever the intention behind it is. Anyway. How's everybody's day been? Let me know in the comments. 30 seconds per turn, not a big deal. Honestly, it doesn't hurt to have the pace of the game slowed down a bit. Sometimes I play too quickly on Showdown. I genuinely think I play better on cartridge because of that. Because the game just forces you to slow down some compared to Showdown. Zamazenta got the double protect. You think Sableye clicks Encore now when I try to get the Tailwind back up? What if they just baited me for 4 turns? Just for this moment. That would be kind of funny. But it's not what I suspect actually happened. But we'll find out. Wouldn't be great, you know, player etiquette, but you know, maybe not great sportsmanship, but it would be pretty funny. I would not recommend playing like that. So I suppose it's entirely within the rules here on Showdown. I don't know that there'd be any rule. It's a hydro pump. Perfect. I'm gonna go to Thundurus now. I can get the rain back up. Just keep trying to drain and kiss this Sableye. I don't know why any of this is worth it to the opponent, but... Alright. That's their choice, I guess. Whatever their priorities are. And they forfeit. It does say forfeited, not lost to inactivity, so they must have clicked the forfeit button. Or, yeah, clicked the forfeit button most likely. That was weird. If they were trolling, you'd think they'd play it out for the whole game. Unless they just got bored. Who knows? Who knows what happened there? Not me, I don't know. Shadow Rider, Flamigo, Regidrago, Zacian, Tornadus, Wellspring Mask, Ogerpon. I have not seen a Zacian and Regidrago team in a little bit. I certainly enjoyed them in Reg G. Flamigo's an interesting touch here. I wonder what it's for. It could have Scrappy, throw fighting moves and ghost types. It could have Co-Star to copy the Intrepid Sword boost. It could have something crazy that I haven't thought of. It does get Wide Guard, so that's no doubt part of its value in this format. I can't just spam Water Spout into this team necessarily. Wellspring Mask Ogerpon is also an issue for that, but you know, I could still hit the partner with Water Attack. But Flamigo gets Wide Guard. Spamming Hydro Pump actually is iffy because the Ogerpon gets Follow Me and Water Absorb. I could try to set up Zamazenta on this team. The Shadow Rider's an issue, but let's just do Thundurus Zamazenta with Rillaboom, I think, and I probably should bring Kyogre, even though they have some pretty good answers to it, actually. I could bring Comfey. Comfey gets absolutely wrecked by Zacian, but it's helpful into Regidrago and Flamigo. I think I'd rather bring Kyogre. Maybe I do need Comfey if I'm specifically going for Zamazenta setup, but I don't know. Now, actually, Zacian is a problem too, because Sacred Sword ignores defense boosts. I could Terra Water. That makes me a little bit more vulnerable to Regidrago. It also makes me more vulnerable potentially to Wellspring Mask Ogerpon, depending on what moves it has, but I'm less worried about that. Especially since I would resist the Ivy Cudgel with its boosted crit chance. So I guess the question is just, do I want to create a bit of a weakness into Regidrago in exchange for matching up better overall into these two? I'll definitely go for a Thunder Wave into Zacian. That seems nice. Yeah, I'll Terra Water. Iron Defense. That might... Okay, we get the Thunder Wave into Ogerpon. That might change how I have to play against Regidrago later. I don't especially want to just let Thundurus go down here. That might be part of the key to beating Regidrago in an endgame. What am I going to do? Sack Rillaboom? I think I'm okay with it. I'll go for a Body Press into Zacian here. They might redirect it, but not the end of the world, I think. Follow Me. Sacred Sword ignores the defense boost, but is no longer super effective. +3 Body Press wipes out Ogerpon. We'll see what they have in the back. Shadow Rider Calyrex is very likely and not really what I want to see. Although I guess I'm not too badly positioned into Shadow Rider Calyrex here. There it is. Better not be too badly positioned. Grassy Woodhammer Heavy Slam. They can just overwhelm Rillaboom with attacks, right? Maybe what I need to do is take out Zacian and then try to win with Kyogre and Thundurus, right? Thundurus can Thunder Wave this. The problem is I don't know what their last Pokemon is. If it's Regidrago, then I'm under a lot of pressure to Thunder Wave and Eerie Impulse everything, and I don't have time to do that, especially with Thundurus being low. Alright, I'm gonna go for the Calyrex here. I don't know if... I'm not confident that that's the best play, but it's the best I've come up with. I take out Rillaboom. Calyrex survives. It's really bad. But I guess here I can go for Thunder Wave into Calyrex, and Zamazenta is getting worn down, but Thunder Wave, Calyrex, and Body Press Zacian. Aerodark, immune to the Thunder Wave. Good touch by them. Probably game. I needed Thundurus to do something at least in the end game. Sacred Sword KOs. It didn't matter. Okay. Well, I'm a little bit higher on the ladder than I've been in some parts of this series, and the games are definitely a little bit harder for a slap-together team, but I'm still having fun with it. But yeah, this is the problem with running something like this in this format. A lot of opponents just have so many threats, you can't handle all of them at once. That's the power level of Reg I really shining there in that game. I'll play until one more loss. I don't think Thundurus needs like a send-off game. I think Thundurus has done enough, probably. We'll see how I feel at the end. Kyogre, Urshifu, Tornadus, Amoonguss, Shadow Rider, Calyrex, and Mousehold. I would like to try to get my Kyogre going against this, I think. That would be nice. Zamazenta in the back is also pretty reasonable. I think I like Kyogre, in no particular order, Kyogre, Zamazenta, Rillaboom, and one of Thundurus and Comfey. I'll bring Thundurus, it's the Thundurus video. Let's do Thundurus, Kyogre, Zamazenta, Rillaboom. Maybe I should have reunited Thundurus with its old friend Zacian. Brought back the Gen 8 duo, but of course with a very different Thundurus set. Lent a little bit more offensive punch to this team, but it's fine. I also think Terra Grass Kyogre would have been comfier. I think every time Terra Ghost Kyogre makes sense on paper, but every time I try it, I end up disappointed. I'd like to Thunder Wave Mousehold here. The problem is Amoonguss can redirect it. Maybe Terra Grass or Safety Goggles on Thundurus would have been something to think about if I were refining this team. I guess I'll just Wild Bolt Storm in that case. And I'll go out to Rillaboom for now. Spore immunity. I'm a little bit less bothered about sacking it to a Population Bomb, potentially. They just protect the Mousehold. Now I can... They Spore Thundurus, okay. I was going to say now I can fake out Amoonguss and Thunder Wave Mousehold, but that's not actually correct. I can't do that. I'm going to try to get rid of Mousehold, though. Potentially. There's the Calyrex. Too bad I didn't Woodhammer that slot. Mousehold goes Terra Ghost. Population Bomb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hits, KOs. Mousehold is such a menace. I'm surprised I don't see it more often in this format. I guess now with Amoonguss off the field, I can go Kyogre. I'll just have to take a hit from the Calyrex. Kyogre is especially bulky enough to do that. But ideally, Thundurus wakes up here, lands the Thunder Wave into Mousehold finally. And I get this Origin Pulse. Thundurus does not wake up. Again, Terra Ghost Kyogre just doesn't really work, because it would have made me immune to the Population Bomb, but then I just dropped to the Astral Barrage. I guess that's part of what makes this a scary duo, huh? Terra Ghost anything to handle the Population Bomb just gets feasted on by the Astral Barrage. Yeah, I don't see a lot of... Maybe people are trying it in grassroots tournaments. I haven't really kept my eye on them lately, but... I'm not used to seeing a lot of Mousehold in this format, but... Whenever I do see it... I've been impressed. Feels like it's probably pretty good, but probably another Pokemon where you need to be kind of intentional about how you fit it onto your team. They can just follow me in Astral Barrage and win here. Yeah, so this team had some issues. Protect versus Wide Guard on Zamazenta. I think the answer to that is that's why people don't usually run Iron Defense on it. I didn't really get much value out of Iron Defense in this video. Terra Ghost Kyogre, I It just doesn't hold up every time I actually try it. I'm going back to Terra Grass after this, I'm pretty sure, unless I forget the lessons I've learned here. Landorus is a fun Pokemon, but hard to actually slot into a mode. Really fun, though. And as for Thundurus, Thundurus is such a unique, fascinating Pokemon. A Pokemon that's popped up time and again in competitive play, running almost every kind of different set you could think of. I tried to sort of capture its vibe as best I could here, and it had some moments, but yeah, tinkering around with Thunder Wave and Eerie Impulse, there are going to be games where that works, but I think we saw why it's not a staple in this format. It just has trouble dealing with so many threats all at once when things like Zacian, Shadow Rider, Calyrex, and Miraidon are running around, especially since you can't Thunder Wave Miraidon. But I could have run Scary Face, but then that comes with its own costs, right? Because they just get rid of it when they Volt Switch out. You get the idea. It's an interesting Pokemon. I would not be surprised to see someone cook up something very good with Thundurus sometime soon. But I was surprised at first that it wasn't really showing up as much in Gen 9 as it has in past gens, but at a power level like this, things get difficult for a lot of Pokemon, and Thundurus certainly seems to be one of those. I could see it do well at an event, though, this generation still. It's definitely plausible. Anyway, back to the wheel next time, and who knows what's next.